It has finally happened. Anthropic, the creators of Claude AI, has, just been labeled a supply chain risk by the Department of Defense or the Department of War. And the CEO, Dario Amodei, has actually responded to this. They said yesterday, March 4th, Anthropic received a letter from the Department of War confirming that we have been designated a supply chain risk to America's national security. They said the language used by the Department of War in the letter, even supposing it was legally sound, matches our statement on Friday that the vast majority of our customers are unaffected by the supply chain risk designation. With respect to the customers, it plainly applies only that the use of Claude by customers as a direct part of the contracts with the Department of War, not all use of Claude by customers who have such contracts. Meaning, if you're a contract with the Department of War, you only can't use Claude when dealing with the Department of War. But if you have other contracts, other dealings elsewhere, you can still use Claude for that. And another big thing that they said that we do not believe this action is legally sound. And they will have no choice but to challenge this in court. They said the language used by the Department of War in the letter, even supposing it was legal sound, matches the statement they said on Friday. So the department letter has narrow scope, and this is because the relevant statute 10 USC 3252 is narrow. It said it exists to protect the government rather than to punish suppliers. In fact, the law requires a Secretary of War to use the least restrictive means necessary to accomplish the goal of protecting the supply chain. Even for Department of War contractors, the supply chain risk designation and can't limit Claude or business relationships with Anthropic if those are unrelated to Department of War contracts. So they will go after them legally because this should be only used as need be for restrictions. And they're saying that this probably won't affect their business because, it's only dealing with the small minorities of people who are dealing with the Department of War directly. But I would say that's where they're wrong. Even though legally that's the restrictions, having President Trump and even the Department of War secretary be so adamant against Anthropic, they have a lot more political cachet and sway to other departments, other people, and other leaderships across party lines. So people who are in lockstep with these people, the President Trump and the secretary, it's going to be possible that people will not use Anthropic or Claude as a show of support to the Republicans, to the president, to the Department of Defense. And that lies the problem there, where even if it's legally limited to only these contracts, people are going to push back on these things, costing Anthropic more users. And if one section of the government probably can't use it, it may be harder for somebody else to use AI somewhere else. Why use Anthropic for, let's say, 90% of your other contracts when you can use OpenAI on 100% of your contracts? You can use it on the Department of War as well as the rest of your contracts. Same thing with Google Gemini. Why would you use two different AI models if you don't have to? As well as you can train it up, train your customers up, or your workforce or your employees up. This will still cause major bottlenecks for Anthropic when they're trying to sell this to people who are using the contract. A lot of times it's much easier to change everything so it works well without all your contracts and all your customers versus piecemealing it together. And I think that's what's going to be an issue, especially when you're going against the government and you're going against major government figures. But tell me what you think. Do you think that this is a good thing that Anthropic stood their ground and that they're going to challenge us in court? Because we see that there are laws that have been overturned going all the way to the Supreme Court, but that could take years. Or do you think that, it's good in principle, but not good in business? If you want to keep up with the latest and greatest AI news, you should definitely like and subscribe. That being said, your boy Dex, not Dexter, out.